You're tuned into No Good Music.
And here are your hosts, Rob and Jeremy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we are on show 89. And like always, we're going to play, well, not like always, but we're going to play a new song. It's called Bad Friends and Good Times by the Dead Cowboys. And then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the band. So here we go. This is a new single.
She wears it low. She likes one headlight and no windows. We got cold beer, a summer evening, the best grass, a bottle of wine. The party's here, Lord knows I'm not leaving. No. I got bad friends, I got good times. We ain't laying low. Okay. That could be the song of the summer.
Yeah.
You know, he mentioned summer nights, I think, in there. So that was the Dead Cowboys. And they're described as heavy metal meets the Wild West.
Okay.
And their debut album, brand new band, comes out June 21st. And on Shotgun Records. And their promo says, blazing out of the American heartland, the Dead Cowboys are the sonic outlaws, redefining what it means to ride the line between heavy metal and country. I didn't hear heavy metal in that one.
I don't hear heavy metal either, but you mentioned off the air, kind of like a Lynyrd Skynyrd type of sound.
Yeah.
I also hear like Georgia Satellites in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's that, in what we just played, there's a little part in there that sounds like Lynyrd Skynyrd to me.
Mm-hmm.
They've been dubbed heavy Western. There's so many genres.
What is heavy Western?
Dark Western. Hard-hitting fusion of roaring guitars, outlaw swagger. Okay, I could say outlaw, like country.
Mm-hmm.
Dust-kicking groove that feels like Motorhead riding through a ghost town at midnight.
I guess I need more of the album. I like that song, but to me it sounds more like a classic.
No, you're right.
Rock
Like
meets
Georgia
country.
Satellites, kind of.
Yeah.
Now, they were originally formed, believe it or not, in 2005
Okay.
by Bobby Jensen. This is their debut album. Took them that long. It started out as a passion project, blending Bobby's deep love for classic country storytelling and the raw energy of metal. Here we go with metal again. Yeah, we do need to hear more.
I need more because I don't get metal out of that.
When his other band, Hairball, I like that name, high-octane heavy metal tribute juggernaut, exploded onto the national scene, the Dead Cowboys were temporarily put out the pasture. Whether they're melting faces, I didn't write this, with a double-time riff or haunting souls of a still-laced ballad, the Dead Cowboys are kicking down genre walls and leaving a trail of dust and devil horns in their wake.
Okay.
So here's a little bit about the lead vocalist, Bobby Jensen. And it says you might already be familiar with Bobby Jensen because back on February 8th, 2019, when he was a singer with the band Hairball, Bobby was performing, and I saw this story before I even know who this guy was, as Paul Stanley, and he had his hair catch on fire during a pyro burst. I don't know if you've seen the video.
I have seen this video, yes.
Yes, that's him. Not many singers have ever experienced something like this, except Michael Jackson. you know. He was also the star child in Kiss Tribute's Strutter, as well as the group Kiss Army in the 1990s, early 2000s. He toured North America with appearances on MTV, as well as performing at Kiss conventions. Now, Bobby has worked with Alice Cooper's nonprofit Solid Rock Teen Centers for 12 years and built the show Almost Cooper, the Alice Cooper Show, with assistance from Alice Cooper's prop builders and costume team.
Okay.
Now they have upcoming shows. June 21st, they're going to be in Fridley, Minnesota.
Road trip.
Here's another Minnesota. The Musique Room in St. Michael, Minnesota. Okay. And then the Croy Casino. Upstairs it says Hertel because it's in Hertel, Wisconsin.
Okay.
That's in August.
So we could catch 3 shows.
Yeah.
If we go to the furthest point of Minnesota and work our way back.
Driving now.
Yeah.
So you can visit their website at thedeadcowboysband.com. I want to thank Michael Brandvoid for giving us permission to play Bad Friends and Good Times. And Michael has one of the biggest Kiss podcasts out there called 3 Sides of the Coin. He does that with 2 other people. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, Dead Cowboys.
Little known fact, Hairball, top 5 on my Spotify list this year.
Really?
No.
So we're going to do album anniversaries next. We're going to take a very short break. Here we go. Okay, we're back already. I didn't even get a chance to go to the bathroom.
I gotta get rid of a hairball.
So Jeremy has, we're doing 1965, 75, and 85 album anniversaries. And I just want to say, don't mind my voice. I couldn't talk a couple of days ago, but yeah, I can at least talk.
Definitely sounds a little rough, but
yeah,
you're going to push through.
Yeah. So Jeremy, you're going to start with June 1965. Tell us what was going on back then.
Yeah, so some music news. June 6th, the Supremes have their 5th consecutive #1 single, Back in My Arms Again, written by HDH from Motown Records.
HDH.
Yes. June 14th, Paul McCartney records Yesterday.
And Jeremy, what was the original title of Yesterday?
The Other Day. I don't know.
Scrambled Eggs. I'm not making that up.
I know you're not. I feel like I have heard that before and forgot. Yeah.
You can hear it. Scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one album from 65. And it's the Yardbirds, For Your Love.
Okay.
We know that song.
Yep.
Now, this is the first American album by the English rock band The Yardbirds. Of course, released in June 65, it contains new studio recordings along with previously released singles. And the album features some of the earliest recordings by guitarist Eric Clapton and his replacement, Jeff Beck. And the Yardbirds manager, Giorgio Gomelski, who selected the songs, planned to capitalize on the group's hit For Your Love. So the album was released as the Yardbirds were preparing for their first American tour. And it only reached number 96 on Billboard's top LP chart.
That's unbelievable. When you think of Clapton and Beck in 65, that was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
What were they, like 10?
Well, Jimmy Page was in that band too.
Yeah.
I don't think they were all in at the same time.
Right.
I think, I want to say that Jimmy Page, because this was their first album. So Jeff Beck replaced Eric, and then Jimmy replaced Jeff Beck.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Still, when you you think about that timeline.
Just hit a key here. Okay.
Just time going so fast. That's all.
So now we're on the June 75.
Yeah. So June 1st, a little band that you may or may not have heard of, the Rolling Stones, opened their North American tour in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Nice.
That's an odd location.
I wonder what tour that was.
To start a tour.
Yeah.
You usually end up in like California or New York.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
Or a town where you, like if you're from the U.S., you usually open up
like your
where
hometown.
you're from.
Yeah. Your home state, maybe.
Yeah.
June 20th, we've got very underrated band Talking Heads perform their first show at CBGB in New York.
Mm-hmm.
June 23rd, you and I actually just went to see him within the last year or two. Alice Cooper falls off the stage during a concert in Vancouver, Canada, breaking 6 ribs.
Oh, no.
I don't think he was biting... Was he biting heads off of bats?
That was Ozzy.
That was Ozzy,
Yeah.
okay. June 30th, Cher and Greg Allman are married in a Las Vegas hotel suite.
Oh, that's sweet.
That is cute. That same day, the Jackson 5 have Motown for CBS Records.
They leave Motown.
Oh, Jesus.
That's okay.
Rewind. That same day, the Jackson 5 leave Motown for CBS Records. But the brothers are forced to change their name to the Jacksons because Motown owns the Jackson 5 name.
I have, let's see, I have one album. Oh, and it is the Rolling Stones. Released June 6, 1975. It's Made in the Shade. This is their 4th official compilation album. First under their Atlantic Records contract. Now it covers material from Sticky Fingers, 71, Exile on Main Street, 72, Goat's Head Soup, 73, and It's Only Rock and Roll, 74, which was their 12th studio release.
Wow.
Although Made It in the Shade, what does it say? Bought the Rolling Stones. Oh, although Made in the Shade bought the Rolling Stones time to deliver their next studio album, they were midway through recording Black and Blue upon the album's release. And it was also released to capitalize on the band's summer tour of the Americas. So that answered my question. It was probably the Made in the Shade tour. What if anyone has a Made in the Shade shirt?
That'd be cool.
Shirt.
That'd be cool.
So now we're on the June 85.
The only one big news piece of note here. June 11th, Madonna ends the Virgin Tour at... June 11th, Madonna ends the Virgin Tour at Madison Square Garden in New York, USA.
There you go.
That was a huge tour.
And that's where you want to end it, too. Yeah. Let's see. Now we do have a monumental album here. And it is Hunting High and Low.
Take on Me.
Now this album is the debut studio album by Norwegian synth pop band released June 1st, 1985 by Warner Brothers. It was released in Norway and the United States. It wasn't released until October 28th, 85 in the United Kingdom and Europe. So we got it before they did. And the album was a huge commercial success, reaching high positions on charts worldwide. But, in my opinion, most overplayed song still is, you still hear it, is of the 80s, is Never Gonna Give You... No, it's Take On Me. I was going to say, also Never Gonna Give You Up.
Yeah.
No. I still love the song, and a lot of artists have redone it now. We're watching Last of Us TV show, and the main character picks up a guitar and starts singing Take On Me. So,
nice.
All 5 singles from the album were released, though not all were released internationally. And do we know any of the other ones? So the other 4 is Love Is Reason. The next one I know, The Sun Always Shines on TV. I remember that song. Train of Thought, and also the title track, Hunting High and Low. I think I had this album, so I remember some of the other ones. Now, when the song was first released in October of 84, this is the single for Take On Me. It would only sell 300 copies.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think they were selling them out the trunk of their car, probably. Now, the song was reworked 4 times over to get it what it was eventually, what we heard on the studio album. Now, the group was nominated for Best New Artist at the Grammys in 1986, making Aha the first Norwegian band to be nominated for a Grammy. And I can't name any other Norwegian bands. The other artists nominated were Freddie Jackson, Katrina and the Waves, Sade, and Julian Lennon. Jeremy, who do you think...
Some stiff competition there.
Yeah. Who do you think won for Best New Artist that year out of this?
Who...
We have Freddie Jackson,
Okay.
Katrina and the Waves, Sade, and Julian Lennon.
Sade is my guess.
You're right.
Okay.
Very good. Take On Me video was nominated for 8 1986 MTV Music Awards. And let's see. The Sun Always Shines on TV was nominated for an additional 3 awards, winning 2. Total of 8 wins. Now, I vividly remember Take On Me, the video, when it first came out. And if, I assume everybody's seen it, but it looks like a comic book that's come to life. It was very, I think, inventive at the time, very something we hadn't seen before. Mm-hmm. So I have a couple things about the video. Steve Barron was the director, and animators Michael Patterson and Candice Reckinger. Barron was experienced in music video world, having helmed the videos for Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, Toto, their song Africa, another overplayed song, Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue, Bryan Adams, Summer '69. He did all those videos. But it says Take On Me would be far more ambitious. Barron instructed the animators to use a technique called rotoscoping, which amounts to tracing animation over live action footage. So it took 4 months for Patterson and Reckinger to draw a total of 2,000 sketches that would be used in the video, and which features, it says, Harkett's romantic pursuit of his love interest, played by Bunty Bailey. The video wound up costing $400,000 in today's dollars.
Wow.
It was considered an extremely high budget video in the 80s. Yeah, so in 2002, Take On Me was ranked number 8 on VH1's 100 Greatest One-Hit Wonders. Although this status is slightly misleading, as it reflects Aha's lack of mainstream success in the United States, the group was by no means a one-hit wonder elsewhere, or in career terms. It says, I looked up the video. I said, the video is currently, and the video is currently at 2.1 billion views on YouTube.
Wow.
And this is from 15 years ago. So it's not from the beginning,
Right.
but just 15 years ago, someone put the video up, maybe the record company, got 2.1 billion views.
Crazy.
Now, I do have some other notable albums from 85. June 1st, and I know Jeremy's a big fan of this band. And it's the Fat Boys Are Back. It's their second album.
A huge fan.
Didn't do as well as their first album called Fat Boys, but they are back. The album is them, with their backs to the camera. It's freaking hilarious. It's hilarious, yes. I wonder if they're still alive, the Fat Boys. Maybe they're on Ozempic now, and the Thin Boys. June 10th, REM, Fables of the Reconstruction. It was their third album, and the song, one of the songs is Driver 8. It's on that album. June 10th, Talking Heads, Little Creatures. It's their sixth album, and it had the singles There She Was, Road to Nowhere, I really like that album, Little Creatures. Mm-hmm. And they would only go on to record 2 more albums.
Yeah.
Then they were done. We got Sting, June 17th, The Dream of the Blue Turtles. It's his debut solo album. And 5 singles were released from the album. If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free, Fortress Around Your Heart, Russians, Moon Over Bourbon Street. I don't know that one. Love is the Seventh Wave. June 18th, we got Weird Al Yankovic, Dare to Be Stupid. It was his 3rd album. And it had such hits as Like a Surgeon, the title song, and I Want a New Duck. The Huey Lewis, I Want a New Drug. Mm-hmm. I Want a New Duck. June 21st, Heart, called Heart. Their 8th album had What About Love and These Dreams on it. I like that album. And lastly, the Dead Milkmen with Big Lizard in My Backyard. This is kind of an obscure album, but it was big college album back in the... I didn't go to college, but I listened to college music. And it had Bitchin' Camaro, which I think we've talked about on one of the podcasts. It wasn't commercially successful, but I think it holds its place in music history. Give it a listen, that one. It's like a garage band kind of thing going on there.
Okay.
So that does it for our album anniversaries. And next up, we got some music news. So let's get into it.
Well, I got news for you.
Oh, that was short. Okay. So we got some music news stories. I have some detail on some, and we're just going to go through. But I know we wanted to mention Rick Derringer.
Yep.
Passed away at age of 77. And you might not know the name, but when you look him up, first of all, he was in the band The McCoys. Mm-hmm. They had the song Hang On Sloopy. And then he had his first solo album, had the hit Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. And he appeared on albums by Johnny Winter, Steely Dan, Todd Rundgren. He was on 4 of Todd Rundgren's albums. He was on Air Supply's song Making Love Out of Nothing at All. Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart. And Jeremy, tell me about... He was on several wrestling albums. Because I was surprised, not that Jeremy doesn't know, Jeremy knows music, but sometimes I'm taken aback when, you knew who Rick Derringer was.
Right. So I actually first heard the news because I follow a lot of old wrestling, sites and groups on Facebook, things like that. And I actually first saw the news when they said, the original singer for Hulk Hogan's I Am a Real American has died. And I was like, oh man, I didn't even realize that's who the vocals were by. Yeah. So that was the first that I had heard of the news. Yeah,
Jeremy, you're a big... I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, but...
I'm an older wrestling fan. I don't really watch it anymore.
Well, I remember Hulk Hogan and that era and Rowdy Piper. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Real American, Rick Derringer.
Nice.
Yep.
So next I'll talk about a little bit about Iggy Pop. I should have done some research. I think he's doing his last tour. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I just read the other night he's... I don't know how many shows he has. I thought it was his last show, but I think he's doing a couple other shows. But he was carted off the last song in a coffin.
Oh, wow.
They wheeled the coffin out and he got into it. And so I take it it's his last tour and that's why he's doing that.
That's a weird, I don't know. I wouldn't want that juju over me.
And then we got the Who with the, I don't know. To me, their final tour was in the 80s. They had a final tour, and now it's Pete and Roger, and they got Zach Starkey. They fired him, they rehired him. We got Pete now. The latest is Pete commenting that he doesn't like touring.
Right.
So now Roger's pissed off. Just, I don't know. I think just give it up.
I saw them probably about 20 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And they weren't the greatest show I ever saw, but I mean, they sounded pretty good, and I was happy to say, hey, I saw The Who.
Yeah.
It was when they turned 50, The Who turns 50 tour. Mm-hmm. So maybe it wasn't 20 years, maybe it was like 15, but at that point, they seemed like they needed to be done.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to bash on them or anything, but it's just, at some point, it's time.
Well, unless you're like a crooner, like Tony Bennett went until probably his last breath, because he wasn't screaming vocals, and it was more his natural voice. And Roger's sort of his natural, but there's also the high intensity, rock songs. Mm-hmm. And then I don't even know if we want to get into it with the Bruce Springsteen controversy. We don't talk politics on here, but and I don't care if you're listening, and I've been a fan of Bruce a long time. I don't know, Jeremy, if you like Bruce.
I love Bruce.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Matt and I love Bruce. But I think if you don't agree, just walk away, and people can't walk away anymore.
No.
I've started trying to not look at comments. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit because there's a record store called Randy Now's Man Cave, and my wife and I went there to see Gene Loves Jezebel probably a month or two ago. Now, this band, I think the band's called No Surrender, if I'm correct, and they got canceled. I don't know if one place did or a couple, because of what Bruce said.
That's crazy.
And so Randy Now was the first person to reach out, and I think they got the date that was canceled. I think it's June 20th. They're playing at his record store. I really want to go. I might go. And so, yeah. So anyway, just, it's a tough one, because when we go to concerts, I want to hear music.
Right.
I don't want, when I love U2, but, and over the years, Bono is not, he doesn't give speeches anymore. But, back in the 80s, 90s, when I went, he had a lot to say, maybe still does. Well, he was talking about Bruce, too.
The last time I saw Bruce, I was still in Michigan, and it was the River Tour.
Okay.
Because, Bruce, he has a habit of picking an album that he'll play top to bottom.
I wish I had seen that.
And then he'll incorporate
That's
some
my
songs.
favorite album.
Yeah. But about mid-concert, he went on his soapbox and did a big speech, and it was a good 15, 20 minutes about how he wouldn't come back to Michigan, basically, if you weren't voting the way that he saw it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was frustrating because I didn't stop liking
No matter
Bruce.
Yeah.
But I don't go to a concert for your political views. I want to hear.
And what I'm trying to say is, I think whatever side you're on, I think you just don't want to hear.
Correct.
If you're really into music, you want to. That's why you're there, to hear music.
Right.
I think it should be a fun event, not a political event.
Correct.
So
agreed. And I didn't stop listening to him. I'd go see him again. Yeah. But it was one of those things for me, like, if I was very heavily affiliated one way or the other, it probably would have been a turnoff.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have Billy Joel cancels tour, but it sounds like he'll get better. And he has I don't know the term, but it's water on the brain. Mm-hmm. He has a little too much water on it. So it sounds like they just have to drain
Go
his
in there
brain,
and suck his brain dry.
Yeah, but he was having some balance issues. And when you get older, you're like, okay, my leg personally is kind of wonky, and sometimes it hurts, and if I walk the wrong way, I can walk, but I've almost tripped over stuff. And anyway, but then if it keeps getting worse and it's then okay, something's going on. So luckily, because I don't know if this could have killed him, luckily he realized something's wrong here.
Right.
So hopefully he gets better. I do have an article to go with this, not with his brain thing, but I found this Far Out magazine. It's from The Vault, it's called, and it's by Lucy Harbron. And I gather that this article was from the 1990s. And the title is I'm Sick of It, the song Billy Joel retired from playing live. And it says in 1990, Joel couldn't stomach singing the same songs from the 1970s over again. He was decades out and a long list of albums away from early hits on offerings like The Stranger or Turnstiles. So when he hit the road again, he decided to leave them at home. But obviously, you can't build a full tour set without the hits. So the decision was made to merely streamline them. But one song that he admitted was Just the Way You Are. And it's from 1977. He said he was tired of it. He says, I'm just sick of it. He told Rolling Stone. He said it was a song that by then had lost all real meaning or emotion to him. So yeah, there are songs that you write, if you're going through something or about a relationship, and over time, you're just kind of phoning it in, like he said, if it didn't, fulfill him anymore singing this song, why would he? The problem is when it's a hit, people want to hear the hits,
right?
Unless you're Dave Matthews,
Yep.
He said there was one time when I was going through the divorce from my first wife, and I drifted away while singing it. I was so bored, I started thinking, well, I'll get back to the hotel about midnight, and they have prime rib on the room service menu. While he's singing the song, he's thinking this.
Wow.
He said, I was so bored and distracted, he lost the words and ended up stumbling, looking for help with his bandmates. He didn't know where he was.
Wow.
Said, so I'm looking at Liberty, who's the drummer, who sings the words all the time to help me pick it up. And I'm following his lips, and he's singing to me. She's got the house, the dog, the car, and that's what I sang. I think he was giving him the wrong words or something. I don't know. He said, maybe it will come back sometime, but I'm not ready to do it again. So this was, like I said, from the 90s, and I think he probably added it back in eventually. But I always think about that, people that have, if you had like one or two hits, I think you're good with doing some other songs, cover songs, or even some obscure songs. I was thinking Elvis Costello. He had some hits that are familiar to people, but unless you're a real Elvis Costello fan, you maybe not know the other songs. So I think he can get away with, he has to do Pump It Up or, What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. But, so we wish Billy a speedy recovery. And I think he was touring with Stevie Nicks, right?
Who just celebrated a birthday recently.
She did?
Yeah.
How old was she?
77, 78.
What?
Yeah.
That means we're getting old.
Yeah.
So I have really not, this isn't news, but I want to go over some summer tours going on. We got Coldplay. I like Coldplay. It's another like U2. Either half the people like them, half the people don't.
Yeah. Nickelback is another one like that.
Yeah. I don't like Nickelback. They kicked off their tour in March. Goes to September. Oh, Katy Perry.
I'll be there.
The Lifetime of Torture Tour. No, what is it called? It's a Lifetimes tour. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now the tour has just begun. And I mention her because I know your girlfriend, Kristen, loves Katy. When are you going?
August for her birth. It's her birthday weekend. We'll be in Baltimore, actually.
Oh, okay.
I haven't told her this yet, but we're probably going to go to the aquarium first and just make a weekend of it. But yeah, we already
She
have our
can't
tickets.
listen to this podcast now.
Nah, she'll.
Oh, so if she's not going to listen to this podcast, I can just talk about Katy Perry. So Katie's being, on TikTok, Katie's being made fun of for her one song. I don't have the name of the song here. The way she sings it. And I do think Katie's a good sport because she's picked up on this. Mm-hmm. I think I sent it to you. Katie's picked up on it where she doesn't do this song in the concert. but she started to play it. And when she got to the part where, and it does sound in the song like has a lisp. She's saying something about hard candy, right? Or something. So when Katie gets to that part, she doesn't sing it. She's like, I don't sing like that. And she takes her guitar off. So she only does like that one part. So it was pretty funny. So she's aware.
Yeah.
But you know, at TikTok, I'm not on there like I used to be, because once things run with something like that, people making fun of, it's constant when you're scrolling. Okay, another person's doing this, and it's the same thing,
Right.
over and over. So we got Ed Sheeran, and I have here, isn't he always on tour? April to September. You want to see Ed? I like Ed Sheeran, and not so much his music, but him as a person. He'll show up places. I think he showed up, I want to say it was a Lego store. And people were like, is that Ed Sheeran? Because, you know, unless you see him in person, you don't know if it's really him or not.
Right.
He showed up at bars. So, and then we got Girl I Like, Gracie Abrams, The Secret of Us Deluxe Tour. July to August, only 2 months. Lady Gaga, July to November. Halsey, another one I like, For My Last Trick Tour, it's called, May to July. I like to see her, but I don't like to go to arenas that much. Jeremy and I are going to do our next podcast, we're going to be talking about AC/DC and the concert we went to, but, you know, I don't like to go to many of those, just with the traffic and just getting in there, out, and I don't know, too many people too for me. Anyway. And then, I had Billy Joel on here. Oh, and Sting was going to tour with Billy too on select stops.
That's cool.
So that was supposed to be January to June, actually, it says. Olivia Rodrigo, March to July. Post Malone, Big Ass Stadium Tour, April to July. And Bruce Springsteen, of course, he's doing his 2025 World Tour. It's going into July. I don't think he's doing any shows in the U.S., though. Not sure.
Isn't that part of the world?
Well, this says shows were postponed from 2023. He was recovering from peptic ulcer disease.
Okay.
I guess he took some Pepsid. Now he's back on the road. Now Shakira, this is another one. She's canceled a couple shows.
Yeah.
And not because she's sick, but because all of a sudden I don't know if people were fired, but they couldn't get things set up in time or something. And then the show the next night, they couldn't get everything there in time. I don't know what's going on with her.
No idea.
Dua Lipa, I like to see her. Radical, have you heard of her, Dua Lipa?
No, never.
No.
This is ridiculous.
Okay. Thank you, Dua. Radical Optimism Tour, March to October, so we still have time. And here's a couple we want to go to. Maybe, I don't know if we're gonna or not. Billy Idol, Joan Jett. It's a Nice Day to Tour Again tour.
Yeah.
April to September. Creed and Mammoth, Summer of '99 tour.
With Daughtry added now.
Yeah, various other bands. We got Three Doors Down, Daughtry, and Big Wreck. I don't know who they are.
Well, Three Doors Down had to pull out.
Okay.
Their guitarist, was it? Or bassist? Somebody's got really bad stage 4 cancer
Yeah.
in the group.
So we got Daughtry. I'd like to see Daughtry, Mammoth, and Creed. That would be great. July 9th to August 20th, so we only got 2 months in there. David Lee Roth.
Oh, man.
Jeremy has been begging me to get tickets to this. I don't know if I want to spend $120.
You know, in all seriousness, part of me would love to see him to say that I saw him.
I know.
But the other part of me has seen some of the videos, and it does not look enjoyable at all.
I'm waiting for the $25 tickets, but
Yeah.
I think he's going to be sold out.
Yeah.
Only because he's never come around, But he's going to be in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
It's a good place to be a gigolo.
Wind Creek that we talk about on August 17th.
Yeah.
But Wind Creek has these $25 ticket things.
Mm-hmm.
And certain concerts. But nobody wanted to go see the Wallflowers with me.
When was that? Or did it pass already?
Yeah, I think it passed.
Oh, okay. I'd see the Wallflowers.
Yeah, they were $25. Then we got Elvis Costello. I want to see this too, but I can't get anybody to go. It's September 18th. Elvis Costello and the Imposters with Charlie Sexton, who had a couple hits in the, late 80s, 90s. You know Charlie Sexton.
I know the name.
Eat So Lonely.
Oh, okay.
That guy. And September 18th, Cake. I want to go see Cake.
Cake is an underrated band, too.
And they haven't toured in a long time. I think they started touring last year.
Yeah.
After like 20 years or something of not touring. Their tour's going on until September 28th. And there'll be last show. Actually, their last show is at Music Fest.
Oh, wow.
In Bethlehem. So it must be September 28th.
Yeah.
Well, no, wait. Music Fest is August. I don't know why I have last show.
Just a couple
that's weird.
that I am keeping my eye out on. The Offspring are touring again.
Okay.
So I'm a big Offspring fan.
Yeah.
Hozier, I'm keeping an eye out. That would actually be coming up in the next week or so. And then Breaking Benjamin is touring again, which they're a PA band, so big fan of them. But then another one that we talked about, I'm surprised you don't have it on your list, but Volbeat and Hailstorm. Also,
Oh, yeah.
this
I want to see
summer.
them.
Yeah, so a couple more there. There's a lot of good shows coming around. It's good to see that these bands are still making it happen. It's a shame that some of these ticket prices are really you talked about the $25 tickets. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But like Hozier right now, I'm keeping an eye on tickets. I know we talked about it before I came in, but the cheapest seat right now after fees and everything is like $98.
Yeah.
And that's a lawn seat. So it's not a seat. I'll be standing.
Yeah.
I'm not spending $100 to stand. 25, 30. Yeah, that's the sweet zone. I'll go for that. But
Yeah, when we saw Mammoth last time, Wind Creek, it was like $35.
yeah, I can live
General
with that.
admission.
And we had seats. I think we stood, but we had the option to sit if we wanted to.
I almost want to go see that Marin. I think her name's Marin Martin or something. She seems interesting. She was at the Bourbon and Beyond Festival. That was at.
Wind Creek has been
And she had $25 tickets. It's general admission.
nice.
So I'm like, I don't know.
Wind Creek has been getting some good shows. Wilson Phillips is going to be there too.
Yeah.
I know I was talking about them briefly before, but
I mean, I'd go see them if you wanted to go see them. But
it's one of those deals. If tickets were like $20, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend $70 to see.
well, they've been doing that a couple times now lately with the $25.
Yeah.
If the tickets aren't selling fast enough, the seats are in the back probably.
T-Mobile
But
did that too.
still.
I don't know if you're a T-Mobile provider,
Yeah.
but they had $25 tickets.
Yeah, I looked at them. They were mostly
weeks
lawn seats, like for the outdoor shows.
Yep.
No, I did look into this. Okay, so we're next up. I got some new music releases to talk about, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. First off, I want to talk about there's a new Miley Cyrus album.
Mm-hmm.
It just came out, and I tried listening to it. I loved her. I think her last album had Malibu on it, and she had more like ballad stuff, like beautifully written songs. This is more dance. That's like it starts out her talking, so it's kind of a themed. Last time we talked about the album, she was going to do something Pink Floyd inspired. I don't know what happened to that, but this is not it.
Okay.
So the album is called Something Beautiful. There's 13 songs. I think this song, I want to say the song I love is End of the World, I think it's called. There's a couple songs on here I liked, but nothing really stood out. So I don't know what, this came out, I think this past week. The 30th came out, May. But I like the singer-songwriter stuff from Miley. Like the last Lady Gaga album. Well, Dance with Abracadabra. And I think Lady Gaga also is one that the more toned-down songs, the non-dance, those are the songs I think are really good. But somehow, you record what you want to record. But so we have some June releases. June 13th coming up. Neil Young has another album out, Jeremy. And it's Neil Young and the Chrome Hearts, Talking to the Trees. It's considered a Neil Young album. My voice is getting worse. It's his 48th studio album. 48th.
It's a lot.
Jeremy's over there texting.
Talking about Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And Fat Bottom Girls.
Yeah.
Van Morrison, 47th studio album. Remembering Now. On the 20th, we got Haim, I Quit. 4th studio album. Do you like Haim?
I know of them. I'm not like a huge Haim fan.
So there's a video on for one of the songs on YouTube. I'm gonna look it up now. And you have to first of all, you have to watch the video first. I might have sent it to you. I might have sent it to Matt. I don't know. If I can find my YouTube. Why can't I find my YouTube on my phone? So the song is Down to Be Wrong, it's called. And you watch the video first, and then watch the making of. Because it's one steady shot. There's a guy sitting on a bed, I guess with one of the girls. And then he gets up. The camera pans over to her. And then when it pans back, the other girl's there. And they're actually running into the room. The one cool thing is in the hallway they're in a hotel.
Right.
The hallway of the hotel. The girl, the drummer, she's playing drums, and they show the bass player. And then when the camera moves away, the drummer, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. she actually runs back behind the cameraman and runs to another drum set so that when the camera gets to that one, she's over there. And then the bass player's running behind her to another position. So they're not like editing this. It's amazing when you see the making of the video. They're all like running around. Now, I don't know if you know this band Baby Metal. If you have to, okay. This one's called Metal Fourth. Although it's their 5th studio album. Go look up Give Me Chocolate. Because it's heavy metal. It's definitely heavy metal. And it's also pop. This is from 2014, the song Give Me Chocolate. That's how long they've been around. They were pretty young when they first came out. And it's a genre called kawaii metal, a mix of heavy metal and J-pop, which is actually a term, Japanese pop music. So it's pop and heavy metal. And I will play it for you after this, Jeremy.
Okay.
You have to hear it to believe it. And then the total opposite would be Barbra Streisand with her 37th studio album, The Secret of Life, Partners Volume 2, Electric Boogaloo. No. I don't think I'm going to buy this on vinyl. I'm not a big fan of Barbara. I like when she did the album with Barry Gibb, because I like the Bee Gees. Mm-hmm. And I have the Stars Born album. I like that. I like her duets, maybe more. But this is a duet album. The first time I ever saw your face with Hozier. My Valentine with Paul McCartney. The Very Thought of You with Bob Dylan. Can you imagine Bob Dylan and Barbra Streisand? And Fragile with Sting. That Sting song. The first time I ever saw your face is on, the streaming services. That's the first single. I sent it to you. I don't know if you... Because you said you want to go see Hozier. How do you say Hozier? Hozier or Hozier?
Something like that.
Okay. And then June 27th, Lynyrd, who I'm not a big fan of, but, I'm telling you these things because, I understand people have different tastes than we have.
Yep, for sure.
Now, this is her 4th studio album that no one asked for. Coming off the success of her 56,000, I'm not making this up, in album sales from her last album. Hopefully this one breaks the 60,000 sale. 56,000, I'm telling you, she sold only 56,000 for last album.
Only? That's pretty good.
And this is another thing where back when Jeremy and I were much younger, especially when I was much younger, you know, an artist, they put out, say, their third album and it fizzled. There were no hits, nothing. And I know she's pretty much an alternative artist, but still, she's got a lot of exposure. She's very popular, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But how she's still popular, because what I'm trying to say, back then, you just kind of went away.
Right.
You know. But she's trudging on with the fourth album. I do wish her success, though. Maybe. July 4th, we got Kesha. Kesha's coming out, and her album's called Period.
There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. Irish singer Amy McDonald. And I like Amy McDonald. She's been around a while. She's Irish, and I loved her first album. This is her sixth studio album, and it's called Is This What You've Been Waiting For? Maybe it is. I don't know. July 11th, Bush. I Beat Loneliness.
Yep.
10th studio album. And then Jeremy can't stop talking about this. I'm like, and he's like, you better mention it on the podcast. And it's Backstreet Boys Millennium 2.0. This is the original album remastered, demos and live recordings from their breakout 1999 second U.S. studio album, Millennium.
Yep.
And you should not confuse this with Corey Feldman's breakout song, Ascension Millennium.
No.
Okay.
Would you ever work with Johnny Depp?
If there was the right opportunity and it was something that made sense, then I'm sure I would consider it.
He always has something to say, Corey.
Yeah.
Wet Leg, I'm looking forward to. I liked Wet Leg, their first album. Simple lyrics. I say simple. It's not real complicated music, but it's fun. Moisturizer. Could have called it Moist, which they don't. Moisturizer. July 18th, Joe Bonamassa. Breakthrough. And his 17th studio album. Now, he just put out an EP, and I'm a little disappointed because it's 4 songs, and I'd say 3 of the songs are really good, and there's one that's like so-so. It's like, if you're going to put out 4 songs, they better all be good, Joe. Come on. Styx. We got a new Styx album, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Circling from Above. 18th studio album.
Who? Doesn't matter. Never mind.
Who's in the band?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd assume Tommy Shaw is still singing, but other than that, I know they've had a lot of changeover.
Dennis D. Old? No, he's not with the band.
He hasn't been with them for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
He's sailing away.
Alice Cooper. Looking forward to The Revenge of Alice Cooper. And it's the 8th studio album by the original band. And then we got July 25th, Fitz and the Tantrums. I don't know if you've heard of them. Man on the Moon. 6th studio
R.E.M.?
album.
Man on the Moon? No?
No, Fitz and the Tantrums. They were big like maybe 20 years ago.
Okay.
It's funny because Tim and I went to see Dave Matthews' Caravan when they were in Atlantic City at this old airfield. And it was kind of disgusting because they didn't clean it up. So all the brake residue from the airplanes, like if you wore white, I had white sneakers, they were black. So anyway, Fitz and the Tantrums were one of the bands that played. And at one point we're standing there. I don't know if it was towards the end of the night because Dave played every night. It was 3 nights. And Tim's like, hey, he's like, look in front of you. And right in front of me was, because he's really tall, the lead singer. He was standing in front of me, Fitz.
That's cool.
I think his last name's Fitzsimmons or something. That's why Fitz.
Makes sense.
And then we got Paul Weller. And if you remember the band The Jam from like the 70s,
I've heard
80s.
The Jam, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Kick Up the Jam.
Yeah. I like Paul Weller. Find El Dorado, 18th studio album. I always liked Paul's voice. I always liked his style. So, okay. So those are new releases. We have one more song for Give It a Listen. We're going to come back in a minute. I'm going to tell you about the song, and then we're going to end the podcast today. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back again. So we have we're wrapping up the podcast today. Thanks everybody for listening. But we have another song. This is, we played them before, the Wood Brothers. The song's Pray God Listens. And they're an American roots band consisting of brothers Chris and Oliver Wood, as well as multi-instrumentalist Jano Ricks. They're a New York-based band, and Chris and Oliver are originally from Colorado. So here's the press release for the new single. It says 1 year shy of their 20th anniversary, and the Wood Brothers keep getting better. On August 1st, the Grammy Award-nominated trio released their 9th studio album, Puff of Smoke, an audacious 11-song musical meditation on the state of the human condition. So today, which was May 21st, it says the band shares Puff of Smoke's second single, its official lyric video, Pray God Listens, and it's a tongue-in-cheek observation on the concept of God, he, she, me, or you, that's built upon a buoyant cachito, Cuban-inspired groove.
Cachito.
Yeah, cachito. Oliver Wood explains Pray God Listens is a bit humorous and cynical, but ultimately it's a song of compassion and humility. It's meant to be light, but it's ambitious enough that you can draw your own conclusion. It says you can take the cynicism part and the humor, or you can go a little deeper and find the compassion. And in June and July, they co-headline 15 shows with St. Paul and the Broken Bones, including stops in Colorado, Northern California, Northwest, and the Midwest, and all of this alongside additional festival and headline dates throughout the summer months. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening today. And again, if you're a musical artist, something recent you've recorded, send it our way. We may play it, like for this segment on your next podcast. You can email us at nogoodmusicpodcast@gmail.com. And also be sure to follow our Facebook and Instagram pages. Just search No Good Music. That's KNOW. I want to thank Kevin, Calabro Music Media. He's given us permission before to play artists, and he's given us permission today to play Pray God Listens. So we're going to do that. And always remember,
Turn off the TV.
And turn up the Wood Brothers.
There you go.
Pray, karma, God listens, say it's true. I need a girlfriend, guitar strings, transmission too. There's world peace, the hungry, the sick and all, the helpless, the hopeless, waiting for God. And I pray God listens. Yeah, I pray God listens to the band I'm in and the song we're singing. Yeah, I pray God listens. Well, I pray.
You've been listening to No Good Music, intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's show is produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts.